Rahim. Today we are going to learn about the cardiac cycle and heart sound. First of all, cardiac cycle. What is cardiac cycle? Cardiac cycle is the series of sequential coordinated events which take place inside the heart during systole and diastole, during contraction and relaxation of heart. That is called cardiac cycle. Um, First of all, cardiac cycle, the series of sequential coordinated events which take place inside the heart during systole and diastole. The cardiac cycle consists of two main steps. One is the systole, second one is diastole. Systole and diastole. You can also say it systole and diastole. The systole is the contraction of heart, while the diastole is the relaxation of heart. The systole means the contraction of heart. This is heart. Uh, the contraction of heart means the contraction of ventricles. The contraction of heart means the contraction of ventricle, not the contraction of atria. Contraction of heart means the contraction of ventricle, not the contraction of atria. So the systole means the contraction of ventricles of the heart, and diastole means the contraction of atrium of the heart. The whole cardiac cycle take 0.8 seconds, which is less than 1 second. While the systole, the contraction of heart takes 0.3 seconds, uh, while the diastole take 0.5 seconds. 0.5 second. 0.3 second is taken by the systole, contraction of heart, while 0.5 second is taken by the relaxation of heart or diastole. Now coming toward the systole. Systole consists of two main steps. The systole consists of two main steps. One is the isometric contraction. The second one is ejection period. While the diastole consists of five main steps. The first one is protodiastole. The second one is isometric relaxation. The third one is rapid filling. The fourth one is slow filling, and the fifth one is atrial kick. So we will learn about all these steps. All these steps combinedly make the cardiac cycle, which take 0.8 second, which is the repetitive cycle of the heart, during which 70 ml of the blood is pumped from each ventricle of the heart towards the aorta or the pulmonary trunk. Now, first of all, the isometric contraction. To learn about the isometric contraction, we will focus on this diagram. This whole diagram represents the heart. Actually, I have told you in the beginning that the systole or the contraction of heart mean the contraction of ventricles. So we will focus on the ventricles of the heart. We will focus on the left ventricle. Same will take place in both ventricles, but we will focus on the left ventricle, which is very important. This is heart. This is the ventricle of the heart. This is the ventricle of the heart. These are two ventricles. This is the bicuspid wall or mitral wall. First of all, the isometric contraction. Isometric contraction means isovolumetric contraction, in which the volume remain the same. Iso mean same and volumetric mean volume. Isometric mean iso volumetric contraction. Iso means same and volumetric mean volumetric is derived from the word volume, in which the volume of the blood remain the same. This is the contraction of the heart contraction of the ventricle of the heart, in which the volume of blood in the ventricle remain the same. There is no increase or decrease in the volume of blood in the ventricle. This isometric contraction takes place passively. There is no expenditure of any sort of energy in the isometric contraction. Here you can see the heart. For example, this is ventricle. The ventricle is completely relaxed. You focus on the red line. In the red line, you can see that the ventricle is completely relaxed. When the ventricle become completely relaxed, then due to some elasticity of the ventricle, due to some elastic nature of the ventricle, this ventricle will be contracted automatically without the expenditure of energy. Without the expenditure of energy, this ventricle will automatically contract. This will automatically contract. This contraction of the ventricle is without the loss of any energy or without the expenditure of any energy. This takes place automatically without the expenditure of energy. So, and this contraction takes place from this area to this area. This is a very low margin of contraction. Sorry. So in this contraction, there is no expenditure of energy, and there is no there is no change in the volume of blood in the ventricle. The volume of blood which is present in the ventricle is not transferred to any area, and not transferred to the atria, and not transferred to the aorta, and not transferred to the pulmonary trunk. There is no transfer of blood from ventricle. Just there is the during the isometric contraction, the ventricle become contracted due to its elastic nature, not due to the contraction of the myocardium, not due to contraction of the muscles of the heart. There is no contraction of muscle of the heart, but just due to elastic nature of the heart is automatically contracted without the expenditure of energy. And during this contraction, the focus on the left ventricle. In the left ventricle, this mitral wall, this bicuspid wall is closed. This bicuspid wall is closed during the isometric contraction. This bicuspid wall become closed. Now coming toward the next diagram. After isometric contraction, for example, this was the margin. This was from this margin to this margin, the heart is contracted, but there is no loss of blood from this ventricle. There is no transfer of blood from ventricle. Just the blood is accommodated in this area, and the wall of the ventricle is pushed towards the atria. Now this wall, this mitral wall, is closed, and during the closure of this wall, the mitral wall or the tricuspid wall, when this mitral wall or tricuspid wall become closed, there is a vibration is created in this wall, and in this wall also. This vibration, the vibration created by the mitral wall, the tricuspid wall, lead to the generation of sound, and that sound is called S1 sound. S1 sound is created by the bicuspid wall or tricuspid wall after the isometric contraction. After the isometric contraction, the S1 sound is produced by the heart. S1 sound is always produced by the sorry. The S1 sound is always produced by the mitral wall or tricuspid wall. This is not produced by any other wall. The S1 sound is always produced by the tricuspid wall and bicuspid wall and mitral wall. And this always happen after the isometric contraction of the heart. Now coming toward the next one. Now Now consider that the S1 sound is also produced and the isometric contraction also takes place. Now after isometric contraction and the generation of S1 sound, the ejection period comes over here. The second period, ejection period. This is the second step and the last step of the systole and systole. The ejection period, during ejection period, these muscles, the myocardial muscles, the cardiac muscles get contracted. The myocardium contract with the expenditure of ATPs, with the expenditure of energy during the contraction of the ventricle. This wall is already closed, and this wall become opened. After opening up this wall, this blood is pushed toward the aorta, or from this ventricle the blood is pushed towards the pulmonary trunk. So during the isometric, after the isometric contraction, the ejection period take place, and during the ejection period, the blood is ejected from the ventricle to the aorta, or from the ventricle to the pulmonary trunk by the opening of the semilunar wall. This is semilunar wall, and this semilunar wall is opened after the isometric contraction. During the ejection period, this wall become open, this wall become closed, and the blood is pushed toward the aorta or the pulmonary trunk. So this is the ejection period of the heart. Now coming toward the next diagram, this was the whole contraction of the ventricle, which take place during the systole. The isometric contraction and ejection period. The isometric contraction take place both of these take 0.15 and 0.15 second. Both of these take 0.15 and 0.15 seconds, roundabout to 0.15 second. So combinedly it takes 0.3 seconds. Now coming toward the and you will also have an idea that 70 ml of the blood is pushed from this ventricle and this ventricle. 70 ml of the blood is always pushed in the ejection period. 70 ml of the blood is pushed from ventricle to the aorta, and that is we have already learned about that in the previous lecture, that volume is called stroke volume. That 70 ml volume is called stroke volume. Still, after the contraction of ventricle, there is some volume is present, some volume already exists in the blood, which cannot be pumped from this ventricle. That is called residual volume. That is also equal to 70 ml. 70 ml of blood is always there in the ventricle, which cannot be pushed out from the ventricle, which remain in the ventricle after forceful contraction of the ventricle. After normal contraction of the ventricle, the 70 ml of blood is pushed toward the aorta, and 70 ml of blood still remain inside the heart. So that's after ejection period. Now coming towards the diastole. And diastole, first step of diastole is protodiastole. Proto mean original or primary. So this is the original or primary step of the diastole. In this step, this takes place after the ejection period of the heart. After ejection period, the blood which comes over here and this ventricle become empty, not empty, but the pressure of blood become lower in this ventricle, and the pressure of blood become higher in this area. Pressure of blood become higher in this area, and pressure of blood become lower in this area. So the diastole, the first step of diastole got initiated in this step. And the first step is called protodiastole, and protodiastole start from the closing up this wall, and over here the pulmonary wall, the aortic wall. This is the semilunar wall. So the closing of the semilunar wall start with the protodiastole, or protodiastole start with the closing of this wall. The protodiastole start with the closing of this wall. When this wall start closing, not completely closed, but when this wall start closing due to the decrease of pressure in this area and increase of pressure in this area, when this wall start closing, this step is called this starting when this wall start closing, this step is called protodiastole. And when this step become completed, when this step become completed after the closing of this wall, this step become completed after closing of this wall. And after closing of this wall, when this wall become closed, the S2 sound is created, because when this wall become closed, over here and over here, both pressure becomes same. The pressure in the ventricle and the pressure in this area becomes same, and this lead to the vibration. The closing of this wall lead to a vibration. A vibration is created in this wall, in the semilunar wall, and when the semilunar wall become vibrated, or when the vibration is created in the semilunar wall of the aorta or the pulmonary trunk, this lead to the generation of sound, and that sound is called S2 sound. S2 sound. This is the second sound of the heart, and this sound of the heart is you can listen this sound after the protodiastole. The first sound is always heard after the isometric contraction. That was the S1 sound. And the second sound is always heard after the protodiastole. That is the S2 sound. S1 sound is created by the bicuspid and tricuspid wall, while the S2 sound is created by the semilunar wall. Now coming toward the isometric relaxation. When this wall become closed, this wall is already closed. This wall is already closed, and this wall become closed after S2 sound. So now this ventricle will automatically, without the expenditure of energy, once again this ventricle will relax. This ventricle will relax. This ventricle will relax. The relaxation of ventricle to go to its original shape, because this ventricle is contracted by the forceful contraction. Before, in the ejection period, this ventricle is contracted by the contraction of the myocardium. So now when the myocardium become relaxed, this first step of relaxation is called isometric relaxation, because this relaxation and isometric, in this relaxation there is no change in volume of the ventricle. There is no change in volume of blood in the ventricle. The volume of blood in the ventricle remains the same during this period. And this relaxation take place not by coming of blood, but this take place due to the elastic nature of the heart. The heart will go to its original position, and there is no forceful relaxation. This relaxation take place automatically without the expenditure of energy, and this relaxation take place without the changing volume of the blood in the ventricle. There is no change in volume. That is why this is called isometric relaxation. This is called isometric relaxation, because the volume remain. Isometric means isovolumetric, in which the volume of blood remain the same. Now coming toward the next step. Now when this ventricle goes on relaxing, the next step is the opening of this wall. This wall become opened. As from this side you can't extract the blood, you can't get the blood from this side, because this wall do not allow this word movement of the blood. Inside movement of the blood, it do not allow inside movement of the blood. So after the relaxation, this wall become open, and this opening of this wall is a new step that is called rapid filling. That is rapid filling. Rapid filling means the blood is transferred from the atrium to the ventricle. This is also passive. There is no expenditure of energy. There is no contraction of the atrium. But the blood from this area start going towards the ventricle by opening of this wall. So this opening of this wall create a rushing sound, because the blood rush into the ventricle with speed, and this rushing of blood from the atrium to the ventricle lead to the vibration due to the due to these walls. This blood during transfer from atria to the ventricle, they coincide with this wall, and this collision of blood with these wall create a sound. That sound is called ST sound, and that is the rushing sound. You can hear the sound as a rushing sound of the. You will observe the rushing of blood from the atria to the ventricle. During S1 and S2, you will not observe the rushing of blood, and during the S3 sound, you will observe the rushing of blood. So this is called rushing sound, S3 sound, and that is created during this step, during the rapid filling of the ventricle, because this is the pressure of blood over here is very low and pressure of blood over here is very high. So the blood will start to moving from the atria to the ventricle. So this will lead to creation of sound over here, that is rushing sound, that is S3. Now coming toward the next one. When the ventricle become halfly filled, then the transfer of blood from the atria to the ventricle becomes slow, and that is called slow filling stage. This is slow filling stage of the ventricle. Slow filling. During slow filling, the blood is transferred from the atria to the ventricle, from this atria also to the right ventricle. And this transfer of blood from the atria to the ventricle is very slow. That is why this is called slow filling stage. This is very important step of the filling of the ventricle, and it takes a bit more time than all the other steps. So during this steps, what happened? During this step, what happened? There is no rushing sound created by this transfer, but the blood is transferred slowly and gradually from this atria to the ventricle. When this ventricle get completely filled with the blood, and this wall is about to close. After closing up this wall, when this wall is almost closed, not completely closed, but you can say that this wall and this wall is almost closed after the filling of this ventricle. Now once again what will happen, and this is called slow filling stage. And after slow filling stage, what will happen? This is the next step. This is called atrial kick. Atrial kick is the active stage. Atrial kick is the active stage, because in this step, what will happen? The ventricle is almost filled with the blood, and there is no more passive movement of blood from the atria to the ventricle. Now what will happen? This atria will contract. This will contract by the expenditure of energy, by the expenditure of ATPs, and this contraction will push the blood forcefully from the atria to the ventricle, and this pushing of blood from the atria to the ventricle will lead to the relaxation of ventricle a bit more. This is called this was the last step of what? This was the last step of protodiastole. And in the protodiastole, what will happen? In the protodiastole, not the protodiastole, and this the atrial kick. This was the last step of diastole, and in this last step of diastole, the atrial kick. This is called atrial kick because the atria, just like it. I have made here an animation or animated diagram in which you can see that this cartoon is going to kick this wall to open this forcefully due to contraction of the atria, and this contraction of the atria lead to the opening of this wall, and it leads to the pushing of blood forcefully from the atria to the ventricle. And once again, this atria is once again filled with 140 ml of blood. 140 ml of blood is again pushed toward each ventricle, and 140 ml in this ventricle and 140 ml in this ventricle. Now what will happen? And now when this after atrial kick, this ventricle is completely relaxed, and once again this step will happen. And this is the first step of what? This is first step of systole, that is isometric contraction. Once again this step will happen. So this was the complete cycle of the heart. But in this complete cycle you will also learn that this protodiastole take around about 0.1 second. This isometric relaxation takes 0.1 second. During the rapid filling, 0.1 second will take during rapid filling of the heart. But as I have told you that slow filling is very important, and because this during slow filling it take very large time, 0.2 seconds. It takes 0.2 seconds to be filled for the filling of this ventricle. So this is 0.2 second, and the atrial kick takes 0.1 second. So 0.1 second, 1 2 3 4 5 6, 0.1 2 3 4 5 6, not like this. Okay, this takes 0.05 seconds. This takes 0.05 seconds. 0.05 second is taken by the protodiastole, and 0.05 second is taken by the protodiastole. Combined, the protodiastole and isometric relaxation take 0.1 second. So 0.1 second, 0.1 second, 0.2 second, 0.2 and 0.2, 0.4 second, and 0.1. That make 0.5 second. So 0.05 second is taken by the protodiastole, 0.5 second is taken by the isometric contraction, 0.1 second is taken by the 0.1 is greater than 0.05. Sorry. Rapid filling take 0.1. Slow filling is very important and very long duration step. That is 0.2 second. This is 0.1 second. All of these make what? All of these make 0.5 second, and 0.5 second plus 0.3 second make 0.8 second, and these 0.8 second are taken by the whole cycle of the cardiac, by the whole cardiac cycle. So during one heartbeat, so you can also say that one heartbeat take 0.8 seconds. 0.8 seconds. One heartbeat take 0.8 seconds. Now you can easily calculate that how many heartbeat are there in 60 seconds or 1 minute. You can calculate it as 72 heartbeat, around about 72 beats per minute. Okay. Another important thing, the S2 sound. The S1 sound is created by this wall and this wall, the bicuspid wall and tricuspid wall. The you can also see the diagram of the heart, that this portion of the heart is called base of the heart, and this portion of the heart is called apex of the heart. This is apex of the heart. This apex of the heart lie on the left side, on the left of the sternum. This apex of the heart lie on the left of the sternum, and this base of the heart lie on the right side of the sternum. On the right of sternum the base is located, and on the left of the sternum this apex is located. So you will hear, you can listen the S1 sound with the help of step in the base of the heart, and in the right and the left portion of the chest you can hear the heart sound. In the left portion of the chest you can hear the S1 sound in the left portion of the chest. At the base, at the apex of the heart, you can hear the S1 sound. The S1 sound is always heard by the S1 sound. For example, this in this diagram you can see this is heart. In this heart, this is the apex of the heart, and this area, this is the base of the heart. This is the base of the heart. over here you can imagine that over here there is sternum. Over here there is sternum. So on the right side, on the left side of the sternum, you will hear the S1 sound, because that is created by the mitral wall and this wall. So the during the S1 sound, which is you can listen on the effects of the heart. So if you are going to listen the S1 sound at the base of the heart, you can also hear the S1 sound on the base of the heart, but that will be slower. That will not be louder at the base. The S1 sound is always louder at the apex. The S1 sound is always louder at the apex. And the S2 sound is always louder at the base, at this side. On the right of the sternum, the S2 sound is always louder over here. S2 sound is always louder over here. You should also note that the S1 sound is very forceful. You can learn this. You can hear this one sound that is created from the mitral wall, that is louder. This one sound created by the mitral wall is louder than the S1 sound of this wall, tricuspid wall. And also the S1 sound, the S2 sound created by the aortic wall is louder than the S1 sound of the pulmonary wall. This one sound created by the S2 sound. S2 sound is always created by the pulmonary wall and the aortic wall, the semilunar wall. So the S2 sound, which is heard by the S2 sound created by the aortic wall, is always louder than the S2 sound created by the pulmonary wall. And the S1 sound created by the mitral wall is always louder than the S1 sound created by this one. But the S1 sound is always heard at the base, at the apex of the heart, and the S2 sound is always heard at the at the base of the heart. At the base of the heart, you will always hear the S2 sound louder. At the apex of the heart, you will always hear the S1 sound louder. Both are having almost the same frequency. Both are having almost having the same intensity, but the S1 sound is a bit louder than the S2 sound. But still you can see that the S1 sound at the apex of the heart is always louder, and S2 sound at the base of the heart is always louder. The another one, the S3 sound. Yes, the S3 sound, which is created by the during the rapid filling stage of the heart, that is the rushing sound of the heart. So this is also you can also hear this sound very easily at the apex of the heart, on the left of the sternum. So this was all about today's topic, cardiac cycle and systole and diastole and heart sounds. In the next diagram we will learn about in the next lecture we will learn about new topic.